Sometimes I am bemused when posting a photograph to Facebook to receive an inquiry asking which lens I use. If the inquirer thinks that their photography will be suddenly improved by the acquisition of this optic, I have to disappoint them. For landscape photography, it is more important to own a rugged camera that can withstand the demands of inclement weather and has proper sensor protection when changing lenses. Obviously, using a quality camera by a major manufacturer that has been producing cameras since the early days of 35mm film photography is essential. But speaking as a photographer whose work is published, my clients couldn't care less which camera or lens I use so long as my photographs pass their rigorous quality assessment. Much of my work is commercial, dismissed in some quarters as chocolate box, like this shot of Ireland, but it sells. Technically, it ticks most of the commercial boxes, but not many for competitions at my local camera club. Not only does it have strong, well-saturated colours without heavy shadows, the image has sufficient information to give some idea where it was taken. But I give you the caption to satisfy your own curiosity. However, this image does not give any idea where it was taken. It is still in Ireland, but it could be anywhere. I was attracted by the combination of clouds and grass, especially the quality of light falling on the latter, but I doubt if it is saleable. Approaching photography with my camera club hat, I try to find a subject enhanced by atmospheric lighting or has drama, offering perhaps a more artistic impression. By the way, notice the bush bottom right corner acting as a full stop, preventing your eye from drifting out of the picture. Little details like this are important to aid composition that are helpful but not distracting. Successful landscape photography is completely at the mercy of weather. You may have the latest super-duper camera, but you must also have skills in map reading and understand weather patterns. You certainly need a map to get here and know before setting out that you will end up with the right sort of sun. A paper map is best. It shows more information than a phone or iPad, particularly other places nearby or the route ahead. But the addition of GPS could be a lifesaver, so take both. There is more to UK scenery than the Lake District, Scottish Highlands, or even Snowdonia. Mountainous views are easier to compose than a flat and featureless landscape. Their dramatic profiles lend themselves easily to breathtaking photography. A photographer living in the Fens might crave for a few hills, but they are better placed for local views in all weathers and at times denied to the rest of us living further afield. A perfectly flat landscape brings out the real landscape photographer. You have to work a little more for success, where lighting and cloud formations are hugely important. Mist requires a drop in nighttime temperature and a morning still enough to guarantee perfect lake reflections. Winter is best, but mist can occur in August, as here in the Lake District. Spot meter off the mist, otherwise it will easily burn out into a boring bland white, essential when shooting into the light that have those classic angel rays. I don't like burnt out or over overexposed highlights in clouds. I always save to RAW and correct in Lightroom. Forget HDR and bracketing. Although a landscape is static, there is often subtle movement caused by the slightest breeze. In Lightroom, it is easier to lighten shadows than darken highlights. Noise could be a problem, but no method is perfect. Drama in clouds heighten a location's character. A picture postcard view of a castle does not necessarily reflect its true character, where dark and grisly deeds were no doubt enacted. When I travel to places miles from home, I have to endure whatever the weather chucks at me. To experience more than 12 hours of good light might be rare in the UK, but so is 12 hours of persistent rain. Whilst it might be tempting to go back to bed, a better solution is to listen to the weather forecast and then travel to a place suggested by the forecaster and wait for the all-important change in weather to occur. Many of my own photographs have been created this way, and possibly the only ones taken that day. When I see a view for the first time, I am moved by the experience, especially if it has the wow factor. So I take a quick shot, a snap if you like. The camera will be preset on program with my personal settings, such as exposure compensation, metering and white balance. Afterwards, and with more consideration, I take further shots on aperture priority. But guess which one ends up the best? Yes, the first snap, capturing that split-second moment of discovery, never to return. Successful landscapes are the exclusive preserve of the lone photographer. If the weather does not play ball, you have more freedom to change your mind and go elsewhere, even back to bed if matters are totally hopeless. Whilst I appreciate and enjoy taking photographs at sunrise and sunset, there are plenty of opportunities for successful images at other times. Winter, of course, widens the choice as the sun is lower in the sky, but all of this does not stop me from taking images in the heat of the midday sun in summer. However, waterfalls are best taken on a dull, even wet day. Very often they are secreted in narrow valleys overhung by trees, but the low level of light permits long shutter speeds without resorting to filters. This shot was handheld with the help of the camera's image stabilizer. I ditch most photographic gear by sticking to just one camera and one lens, a zoom over the mid-range. I don't need anything else, and whilst I might be weighed down by the bus pass, I don't weigh myself down by unnecessary gear on a 12-mile walk over rough terrain such as Kinderscout or Penagent. The expression less is more also applies to what the photographer cuts around. All shots in this production are handheld. I don't use a tripod because it gets in the way of spontaneous thought. Neither do I use filters or any accessories that slow down my thought process. I think and decide on the spur of the moment. Highly important as the light affecting a landscape can change, never to return even before I have arrived to compose the shot, let alone take it. In the end, it is not the gear that is the subtle art, but the perceptive photographer who uses a camera to express the artistic quality of a scene.